Good afternoon, students. Welcome back to our online classes. Now, from today onwards, we'll start our geography chapter 5th, that is major domains of the earth. Okay. Now, students, first of all, what do you mean by major domains of the earth? There are four major domains of the earth, that is lithosphere, hydrosphere, atmosphere, and biosphere. Okay. How many major domains of the earth there are? There are four major domains, that is lithosphere, hydrosphere, atmosphere, and biosphere. Okay. Now let us study in detail about the domains of the earth. Now, first of all, lithosphere. Students, lithosphere is the solid rock that covers the planet. Okay. Means this solid rock, it covers the planet, and it also includes the crust as well as the uppermost part of the mantle. Okay. Now, all of the rock on the earth, it forms the mountains. Okay. Now, students, also about 29% of the earth surface is covered with large landmass. Okay. And it is termed as continents. Got it? Now, one more important thing about the lithosphere it is that it is not uniform in shape. Is that clear? Now, our next topic, that is next domain, is hydrosphere. What do you mean by hydrosphere? Students, our Earth is called the blue planet. Okay. Why it is called blue planet? Because the blue color of the Earth, it is in aerial photographs and it is taken from the satellites. Okay. And 70% of total earth surface area, it is covered with the water. Hence our earth is called a blue planet. Okay. What are the examples of it? Now, the water found on the glaciers, rivers, oceans, lakes, under and over the earth's surface, it is called hydrosphere. Okay. And approximately 1% of fresh water is available on the earth for the human use. Is that clear? Now, the next domain is atmosphere. Now, students, there are, first of all, what do you mean by atmosphere? The mass of air or layer of the gases that covers the surface of the earth. Means you may also say the blanket of air. Okay, what do you mean by atmosphere? You may say the gaseous envelope of air or the blanket of the air surrounding us is called atmosphere. Okay. Now the atmosphere, it extends up to the height of 1600 kilometers. Okay. And it also protects us from the harmful rays of the sun. Now, in how many parts our atmosphere is divided into? Our atmosphere is divided into five layers. That is troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, thermosphere, and exosphere. Okay. These are the five layers where our atmosphere is divided into. Is that clear? Now, the next and the last domain is biosphere. Now, what do you mean by biosphere? Biosphere is a combination of the lithosphere, hydrosphere, and atmosphere. Okay. And because of these three layers on earth, the life is possible. Okay. And biosphere is also known as a very important domain of the earth. Why it is known as very important domain? Because the life exists on earth because of the biosphere. Okay. So biosphere is one of the important domain of the earth. Once again, I am saying you students, remember that biosphere is one of the important domain of the earth. And the reason is the life exists on the earth because of the biosphere. Okay. Is that clear? Now, let us proceed Here you will see the map. It shows the continents and oceans of the world. You all are aware that our earth is covered with the land masses, continents, oceans, and many more things. Now, first we will study the continents. Okay. Now, what do you mean by continents? Students, continents are the land masses. Okay. And 29% of the earth is covered by the land, and in the whole world there are seven major continents. Okay, in our world there are how many continents? Seven major continents. These are the names you can see, that is Asia, Europe, Africa, North America, South America, Australia, and Antarctica. Okay, these are seven major continents. And now let us study about this continents in detail. Okay, now our first continent is Asia. Now students, Asia is the largest continent of the world, and it lies in the eastern hemisphere. Okay, and it also covers approximately one third of the total earth's land area. Okay, and it passes through the tropic of Cancer. Okay, that is the Tropic of Cancer. It passes through the Asia. Got it? Now, student, Asia is a land of high mountains. Okay, it is also called as a land of high mountains, and also world's highest mountain ranges. That is the Himalayas, the world's largest and the highest plateau, Tibet, and the world's lowest part, that is Dead Sea, are found in this continents. Okay. Now, let us proceed to our next continent, that is Africa. Okay. Now, what is the specialty of Africa? Africa is the second largest continent after Asia. Okay. And it is the only continent through which the Tropic of Cancer, the equator, and the Tropic of Capricorn passes. Okay. Now, in Africa, you will see the world's largest hot desert. Which is the world's largest hot desert, student? Of course, Sahara Desert. Okay. Now, Sahara Desert is the world's largest desert, and Nile is the longest river found in the Africa. Okay. Now, Africa was unknown to the rest of the world until the middle of the 19th century. Why it was unknown? Because inland penetration, it was difficult and dangerous. Now, even Europeans called Africa the dark continent. Africa is also known as dark continent. Is that clear? Now, our next continent is North America. Now, students, North America is the third largest continent on the earth, and it lies in the northern and western hemisphere. Okay. Now, North America touches three oceans, that is Atlantic, the Pacific, and the Arctic. Okay. Now, this North America and South America, it is connected. Okay. It is connected by the Isthmus of Panama. Okay. Now, let us proceed to our next continent, that is South America. Now, South America is the fourth largest continent of the world. Okay, students? And it extends from 12 degrees north to 56 degrees south. And the equator, it passes through this continent. Is that clear? We can also say about South America that it is a lowland occupies the half of the South America. Okay. And Amazon, it is the largest river of the world, and also it is a very important river of this continent. Okay. Now, The next continent is Antarctica. Antarctica is a huge continent and it completely lies in the southern hemisphere. Okay. Now, Antarctica, it is permanently covered with ice. Why so? Because South Pole, it lies at the center of the continent. Is that clear? And due to the thick ice cover, it is known as the white continent or the frozen continent. Okay. Why it is known as white continent? Because it has a thick ice covered layer. Okay. Now, in this Antarctica, it is surrounded by the Pacific, the Atlantic, and the Indian Ocean. Means it is also surrounded by the three oceans. Which oceans? That is your Pacific, Atlantic, and Indian Ocean. Okay. Also, India has research stations there. Okay. That is your Maitri, Dakshin, and Gangotri. Okay. Now, this is all about Antarctica. Now let us proceed to our next continent, that is Europe. Okay. Now Europe, it lies to the west of Asia and Arctic Circle passes through it. Okay. Now Europe is the sixth largest continent of the world and it is bounded by the water bodies on three sides. Okay. Now Mount Blanc is the highest peak in the Alps and Mount Elbrus is the highest mountain peak in the Europe. Okay, students. Now the combined land masses of Europe and Asia is known as Eurasia. Is that clear? This is all about the continent Europe. Now let us proceed to our last continent, that is your Australia. Okay, Australia is the last and the smallest continent. Okay, and it lies completely in the southern hemisphere. Is that clear? Now, Australia, as I told you, that it is the smallest continent and it lies completely in the southern hemisphere. Okay, and Australia is also called an island continent. Why it is called an island continent? Because all these continents are surrounded by the oceans. Okay, and in Australia, Tropic of Capricorn passes through the middle of the continent. Okay, in Australia, Tropic of Capricorn, it passes through the middle of the continent. Is that clear? And which is the highest point of this continent? Mount Cosico. Okay, Mount Cosico is the highest point of this continent. Is that clear? Now, this is all about our last continent and the smallest continent, that is Australia. Okay. Now, let us proceed to our next topic of this chapter, that is hydrosphere, the domain of water. Okay. In hydrosphere, you will study about the hydrological cycle. Now, students, just see this picture. In this, you will see that why the earth is termed as watery planet, and it is mainly in the form of great water bodies called ocean and sea. Okay, and also you will see that how the water is known as the hydrological cycle, means how this cycle works. Now students, first of all, the total water of earth excluding deep groundwater is in constant circulation from the earth to the atmosphere. Okay, and back to the earth and oceans. Now the cycle of water amongst earth, ocean, and atmospheric system, it is known as hydrological cycle. Now student, if you learn about the percentage, okay, if you see the percentage of the water, you may say that about 97.2% The Earth's water is in the form of ocean and sea. Okay, that what is the ratio of ocean and sea water? That is 97.2%. Okay, and salty water. Okay, but this water is salty and it is not situated for drinking. This water is completely salty and you cannot use it for drinking. Plus, the rest of the water, that is 2.77%, it is in the form of glacier and ice sheet. How, what do you mean by the glacier and ice sheet? I'll tell you that the icebergs, if you see, complete icebergs, blocks of ice, okay? Now, fresh water, it is available from runoff in the form of river, lakes and groundwater. You just see here, if you see the sources of fresh water, that is the picture. If you see here, ponds, rivers and glaciers, okay, these are the major sources and this is only in the form of fresh water. Okay, water can neither be added nor be subtracted from the earth. Okay, and its total volume is always constant. Is that clear? Now, as I told you about the icebergs, just see the glaciers and icebergs here, and you can say that these are ice sheets and it is a small proportion that exists as a fresh water. Okay, and it is suitable for the human use. Is that clear? Now, student, this fresh water, it is available from the runoff in the form of river, lake and groundwater, as you have seen the previous picture of the groundwater. And this groundwater, it may appear on the surface as well as springs. Okay, and this fresh water is being continuously renewed and it is recharged by the hydrological cycle. Okay, or you may also say the water cycle. Is that clear? This is all about the hydrosphere. Okay, now I hope you have understood the water cycle as you have started in the previous class also, but this is little bit in the detail. Okay, now our next topic is in the chapter ocean. Okay, our next topic is ocean. Now we'll study about the oceans. Okay, now students, oceans are interconnected and are major part of the hydrosphere. As I told you that 97% or 97.2% of earth's water is founded in the oceans. Okay, now, according to the size, there are only four major oceans on the earth. Which are the four major oceans? That is, the first is Pacific, Atlantic, Indian, and Arctic oceans. Okay. Now, these are four major oceans on the earth. Is that clear? Now, let us study in detail about the Pacific Ocean. Now, students, Pacific Ocean is the largest and the deepest ocean of the world. Okay, and it covers an area larger than the combined area of all the continents. Is that clear? Also, Mariana Trench is the deepest part of the earth and it lies under the Pacific Ocean. Okay, now our next ocean is Atlantic Ocean. Now, our Atlantic Ocean is an S-shaped ocean and it is the second largest ocean in the world. Okay, and you may also say it is the busiest ocean from the point of view of the trade and commerce. Okay, Atlantic Ocean, it is busiest part from the point of view of trade and commerce. Okay, this is all about Atlantic Ocean. Now let us proceed to the Indian Ocean. Students, Indian Ocean, first of all, it is triangular in shape. Okay, and it is bounded by Asia, Africa, and Australian continents. Okay, now many volcanic islands and other island groups such as Andaman and Nicobar, Lakshadweep, Maldives, and Sri Lanka are found in Indian Ocean. Is that clear? Now, our last ocean is Arctic Ocean. Okay, Now, the Arctic Ocean is located in the northern hemisphere and mostly in the Arctic North Polar region. Okay. Now, students, the Arctic Ocean is divided into two basins. The first is Eurasian Basin, and the next basin is the North American Basin. Okay. Now, students, it is connected with the Pacific Ocean by a narrow trench. Okay, means a narrow stretch of shallow water. And the narrow stretch, it is known as Bering Strait. What it is known as? Bering Strait. And the central part of the ocean is permanently covered with the ice. And it is about 3 meters thick throughout the year. Is that clear? Now, it is an extension of Pacific, Atlantic, and Indian Ocean. Okay, students? Also, our Arctic Ocean, it surrounds the continent of Antarctica. Is that clear? Now, this is all about the Arctic Ocean. Okay. Now, let us proceed to our next topic, that is atmosphere, the domain of air. As I told you, atmosphere is the envelope of air surrounding the earth. Okay. And it is called as atmosphere. Now, in this atmosphere, the major important topic we'll study is about the composition of atmosphere. Now, students, in the composition, if you will see that the major part of the earth, it is covered with the nitrogen. That is 78% is nitrogen, and the other gases are very less in the proportion. Okay. Now, here in this, if you will study about the layers of the atmosphere, as I told you, there are five major layers. You can see very clearly in the picture, that is troposphere, stratosphere, mesosphere, ionosphere, and exosphere. Now, troposphere is the layer which appears meteorological and climatic phenomenon. Okay. Now, the next is stratosphere. Stratosphere contains the ozone layer. Okay, it contains the ozone layer and it protects the earth from ultraviolet rays. Okay. Now, mesosphere, it is the coolest layer of the atmosphere. The next is ionosphere. In this layer, it appears the northern light. Okay. Its high temperature destroys the meteoroids. And the last and the outermost layer is exosphere, and it has a very low density. Is that clear? This is all about the layers of the atmosphere. Is that clear? Now, why the atmosphere is important, students? First of all, a very common point is atmosphere is very important for us to breathe. Okay. It also protect our earth from the excessive heat and light of the sun. Okay. You may also say that it prevents extremes of temperature between day and night. Okay. So these are many importance of the atmosphere, and there are still many importance. Okay. But I think the other importance you may study from the book. Okay. Now let us study to our next topic, that is biosphere. Okay, biosphere is the next and the last domain of the life, which is very important for us. Now students, what do you mean by biosphere? As I told you, biosphere is a very important part of our life. And why it is so? Because our life exists on the earth because of biosphere. Okay. Now, you may also say that the zone where all the living organisms on the earth are found is called as biosphere. What do you mean by living organisms? And the zone, that is all your biotic and abiotic factors. Okay, students. Now, students, here if you see the mixture of, that is your atmosphere, hydrosphere, exosphere, and lithosphere, it all consists of biosphere. Means all these domains are very important for the earth and for the life to exist. Okay, this picture is completely, it denotes the mixture of the biosphere, and if the life exists on the earth, it is because of all this important domain. Okay, so this picture is shown to you. Okay, now students, you know there are 20 million species of plants and animals, microbes and fungi. Okay, now they are broadly divided into plant and animal kingdom. Is that clear? And if you study about the environmental conditions, it influences their distribution, completely distribution, and the conditions which determine the natural home are habitat. Okay, what do you mean by the natural home? It is an habitat of different organisms. Okay, now the interdependence of living organisms to one another as well as to the surrounding, that is non-living environment, it is termed as ecosystem. Is that clear? Now, what do you mean by environment and what is the man's role in the environment? Now, students, see, man is an important part of the biosphere. Okay. Now, by deforestation, man has damaged soil, forest has been removed. Now, until and unless the means man would stop all these things, or there won't be anything for the future generation. Okay, means until and unless all this deforestation and all this damaging soil and all these things will stop, there won't be anything for our future generations. Okay, and if we want the earth to remain beautiful with life on it, we have to change our attitude. That is, we, the human beings, have to change our attitude. And also, we should try our level best to maintain the balance in the atmosphere. Okay. And what should be our motto? Live and let live. Means humans' motto should be live and let live. Okay. I hope you have understood the topic. This is all about the topic. Okay, that is the domain of life. Okay, means this is all about this topic, and you have studied all the major domains of the life. And students, now I'll send you the answers as soon as possible. Please complete all your previous chapters and send me by tomorrow. Okay, and this chapter also I'll send you the answers PDF and also the objectives. Okay, so complete all the previous chapters, and very soon even the answers for this chapter also will be updated. Okay, thank you very much.